Formula One drivers have one of the most dangerous and intense jobs there is on the planet. Having to deliver week after week, knowing that just thousands of a second can mean the difference between victory and defeat, knowing that millimeters can mean the difference between success and destruction. And I've always thought to myself, I'd probably make a pretty good Formula One driver.
I am stupid. I switch off everything.
But the reason I haven't made it yet is because I'm not dedicated to the sport like these Formula One drivers are. So I dedicated 24 hours of my life to living like a Formula One driver, from food to exercise to sim racing. I did it all, and here's how it went. Most Formula One drivers seem to start their day with some cardio of some kind, whether that be cycling in the case of Valtteri Bottas, or Charles Leclerc we saw climbing mountains in Monaco. So I thought I'd climb a hill in Norwich, because Monaco and Norwich are pretty similar to one another once you break it down. Then it's all about planning the day out to make sure that you're prepared for that next race. We have to remember that these guys are professional athletes. They're trying to get the best out of themselves every single Sunday, and they're making sure that they're always looking forward to that next Grand Prix. Then the next thing is making sure that you get some stretches in, making sure that you're feeling mobile, make sure you haven't got any injuries niggling, and then of course get some food in, making sure that you're fueled for the day, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't realise how busy a Formula One driver's day is. Because as soon as you finish breakfast, it's straight into the gym for the first training session of the day. From what I've been able to find, most Formula One drivers' training sessions seem to be split into two halves. First off, there's some sort of cardiovascular exercise. I decided to go for the rowing machine, but I've seen lots of different options, basically just getting your heart rate going as high as you possibly can. And then comes the weighted exercises. In particular, they're focusing on their back muscles, their triceps, biceps, and shoulders, because think about it, you're taking a lot of pressure throughout the entire Grand Prix, and also you're wrestling the car through the corners, so it's really important that you can hold on to that wheel for an entire 2-hour race. And of course, the one that everybody links to Formula One drivers, the neck exercises. Now, I don't have the specialist equipment, but you can see how important and how dedicated these Formula One drivers are to those neck exercises, keeping themselves not only safe, but also able to handle those pressures, those G-forces going through those corners. And I mean, just look at Fernando Alonso. He's basically 80% neck at this point. There is a little bit of respite though after the gym session. The drivers get an opportunity to relax a little bit, have some lunch, and just recuperate a little bit of that energy ready for the afternoon. Because heading into the afternoon, the first thing that these drivers have to do is put in a sim session. Now, these drivers obviously know most of these tracks like the back of their hand, but just so they're ready for the weekend coming up, they put a few laps in the sim. So I've got Spa loaded up on the sim because that's where we're headed after the summer break, and I'm going to give myself the whole hour and a half to try and set my best possible lap time around Spa. Whereas real Formula One drivers would probably get set tasks by their engineer, by their team, to think about the exits and entrances to corners, to think about possible strategies, think about possible setups that they're going to use for the Grand Prix weekend, so that when it comes to Friday practice, they already have an idea of what they're going for. But in this case, I don't have any of that pressure, so I'm just going to go as fast as I possibly can. An hour and 30 minutes later, and that's the best I had, a 1:45.9. There was definitely some temps in there. But changed the setup a little bit, got to grips with my simulator a little bit more, and I feel a little bit more comfortable. And at the end of the day, that's what Formula One drivers want. They just want to feel comfortable in the setup that they've got, ready for the weekend and prepared for the race that's coming ahead. But that is my simulator session done, and I'm thankful for it because my shoulders are absolutely killing me after this morning and now holding onto this wheel for like 45 laps around Spa. Definitely need a little bit of a relax. I'll grab a snack quickly, and then we head into the press conference and team meetings this afternoon as well. And the media commitments that Formula One drivers have to make is pretty much a daily task at this point. Whether it be something as simple as putting out a TikTok or an Instagram reel, all the way up to dedicating an entire day to a YouTube video that goes up on the team's channel. On top of that, they obviously have the press conferences before and after the Grand Prix weekends, plus things like Drive to Survive, Twitch streams, their own YouTube channels. Drivers are giving up more and more time to the media. And some drivers are absolutely loving it, while some drivers absolutely hate it. But it is in their contract, and it's something they have to do, and therefore it's something I have to do. So I'm going to spend the next couple of hours making some TikToks, making some Instagram reels, which you can find links to in the description down below, and answering some of your guys' questions that I asked for a Q&A. What's my favorite Formula One car of all time?
It's pretty close. It's going to be a McLaren. Probably one of the Vodafone McLarens. They were very, very nice. Obviously, Jenson Button's Brawn, that one season that they had, that's just so iconic to me. Of course, the McLaren that we had at Monaco last year, the Golf livery was just something special. What got you into Formula 1 and who do you support in it? In terms of what got me into Formula 1, I think I literally just stumbled across it as a kid and fell in love with it as soon as I watched it. It was around about that 2007-2008 season. I think the earliest season I remember watching was 2008 or 2009. That Jenson Button Brawn, as I said, really stands out in my mind. And then in terms of who I support, well, Jenson Button moved to McLaren, and that actually made me a McLaren fan when I was sort of first getting into the sport. So I've supported McLaren since then, which is why in terms of the drivers right now, I'd probably say I follow Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly as well are probably my two that I follow most closely. What are my thoughts on how street circuits are becoming more and more common, especially in the USA and the Middle East? I'm not massively against the addition of new Grand Prix circuits and new circuits coming up on the calendar, as long as they add variety for me. What I'd really love to see is 22, 23 different tracks that all offer something a little bit different. They all add a little bit of character and style to the Formula 1 season in slightly different ways, and therefore it doesn't feel like we ever have any filler races in the season. What's the Formula 1 transfer you've been most excited about over the last few seasons? Definitely Daniel Ricciardo to McLaren. What's the worst transfer in the history of Formula 1? Definitely Daniel Ricciardo to McLaren. What's your favourite Grand Prix? I'd say I have three. I can never really distinguish between them. I really love Hungary, I love Singapore, and also Canada as well. Finally, with the media stuff out of the way, there's just a couple of things left on the tick list. Starting with a kind of cool down / yoga session, just again to relax those muscles, to make sure that the athlete's feeling okay, to check for any injuries that might have occurred, and make sure that they're prepared for the next day's training sessions. Along with the fourth and final meal of the day, and I forgot how much you're allowed to eat if you're a professional athlete. Obviously, they're burning off every single one of these calories, especially when it gets to Grand Prix weekend. They're putting themselves under so much stress, but I could definitely get used to eating 4 meals a day. Then there's finally time to wind down the day. If you're Charles Leclerc, you go off and play the piano. If you're Yuki Tsunoda, you go off and play some video games. If you're Lando Norris, you make a video with Quadrant. But if you're me, you're probably going to use this time to, well, edit this video, to be honest with you, because that's what I like doing in my spare time. And that rounds out my day of being a Formula 1 driver, and to be honest with you, I could probably get used to it. I think the 2 training sessions a day, the sim racing for nearly 2 hours definitely took it out of me, but the walk in the morning, some of the yoga sessions I really enjoyed. I'm definitely going to adapt my lifestyle closer to that of a Formula 1 driver. And with a little bit of practice, I definitely think I can get quicker on that sim, and you know what? Probably won't make it as a Formula 1 driver, but if I could take part in a few events here or there for F1 2022, I'll take that as a victory. Overall, I had a really fun day, and I hope that you enjoyed the experience as much as I did. Leave a comment down below. Do you enjoy these different style of videos? Would you like to see me do more of this kind of thing in the future? And of course, whilst you're down there, leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. We are so incredibly close to 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
Formula 1 World Champion.
Formula 1 World Champion.
To be a World Champion.
World champion.
World Champion.
I opened the restaurant. my restaurant. Yeah, it's true.